we've got your Raiders covered.
Knock on wood if you're with me.
This is Silver and Black Tonight on CBS Sports Radio 1140. And now, here's your host, Scott Gobranson.
Welcome and good evening from the studios of CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas. You are on a Tuesday night in Raider Nation, a night just a few days after the Raiders' second consecutive blowout loss, this time in their House of Horrors since 2012, Kansas City's Arrowhead Stadium, where the Chiefs pounded the Silver and Black in a decisive 40-9 victory over the now 6-6 Raiders. Welcome back to the Silver and Black Tonight here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 as we bring you the most comprehensive coverage of the Raiders in Las Vegas, both on Sunday mornings with the Silver and Black Today from 8 to 10 a.m., and now on Tuesday nights as well, 6 to 7 p.m. It's time for primetime review of the massacre that was Chiefs versus Raiders this past Sunday. I am your host, Scott Branson, joined by Chaz Osborne.
Hello.
And for the next hour, we'll break down the week that was in Raiders football, focusing on analyzing, exploring, and debating the Raiders' lopsided loss to the hated Chiefs. We'll include insightful looks at key plays and moments of the game. We'll also preview the game against the Titans on Sunday and take your phone calls. That's right, you can call in. Vent. I know there's a lot of anger out there. Vent. 702-889-5978. That's 702-889-5978. We get great callers, so pick up the phone, Raider Nation, and give us a ring. Let's get you up to speed on the game that was. But first, we want to, again, send out, Chaz, our condolences to Raider great George Atkinson, as his son, George Atkinson III, passed away this week. And he lost both sons this year in 2019.
Yeah.
Just terrible news.
Tough story. Yeah, that's just one of those things with the you just can't understand what's going on in their mind, and it's just it's really tragic. Thoughts and prayers for sure. We're all here with you and for you.
Yeah, it's terrible news. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the entire Atkinson family, and of course, all Raiders and the Raider organization. Okay, let's get you up to speed again on the game. The Raiders headed into Kansas City for the biggest game in over 3 seasons, with possible lead in the AFC West on the line. This young Raiders team had won 3 of 4 coming off a throttling in New York last week. How would the Silver and Black respond? How would quarterback Derek Carr respond to his critics and the stats saying he struggled not only in cold weather, but in Kansas City? Let's dive in. All right, scoreless in the first quarter, Derek Carr drops back to pass, and the day's mood was set as the ghosts of Arrowhead haunt number 4 again.
2nd and 12. And that's picked off. That is right into the hands of Tyrann Mathieu.
And Carr's miscue proves costly for the Raiders as Pat Mahomes takes the field position, marches down into the red zone, where the quarterback finds running back Darrell Williams for a touchdown.
From just outside the 3, over to Darrell Williams. There's a flag out as he finds the pylon for the touchdown.
On the ensuing kickoff, the Raiders waited for the kick with Trevor Davis deep for Oakland when the boogeyman again reared his ugly head.
Short kick into the wind. Davis. Ball's on the ground, and it is recovered. Looked like O'Daniel was there for the recovery, and he is.
Now, despite the poor start, including 2 turnovers and an avalanche of early penalties, the Raiders' defense, the unheralded group on this day, kept it close at 7-0. Moving the ball, the Raiders' offense stalls again and faces a crucial early 4th and 1 from the Kansas City 40-yard line. That's when Carr swung a short pass to Davis, who again couldn't get it done.
There's not a lot of stuff.
Oh, they hand it off to Davis. And the Chiefs never let him get anywhere.
Then the reigning MVP, Mahomes, led the Chiefs on a 6-minute drive into Raiders territory, where Mahomes and his fresh off the bye week legs find pay dirt, increasing the Kansas City lead with just over 3 minutes left in the first half.
Looking, wide open field. Wide open for Mahomes. He high steps it in for the touchdown.
Then perhaps the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back on 2nd down from their own 40-yard line. Carr dropped back to pass, and that's when Chiefs safety Juan Thornhill again haunted Carr with a back-breaking pick 6.
Starting to figure out his system. with each passing week. And here we go, the defense with the steal and the run back. It's Thornhill, the rookie, for his first NFL touchdown on the pick six.
Still, despite the outright terrible start on offense, the Carr interceptions and penalties, the Raiders get the ball before the end of the first half with a chance to put points on the board after their drive stalled just outside the KC red zone. The Raiders kicker Daniel Carlson lined up to attempt a 41-yard field goal.
44 yards. Oh, my goodness.
And that's about all you want to hear of that kick. The Raiders would never recover in the second half as their slim playoff hopes took a big hit on the frozen turf of Arrowhead, with fans and the team searching for answers on how to get their offense back in gear. How bad of a day was it for Derek Carr in the offense? Besides the stellar play of Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller, the Raiders went 10 quarters between touchdowns after ending the drought in garbage time, finished the day with more offensive yards than the Chiefs, but making it into the Kansas City red zone, Chaz, just 3 times the entire game.
Tough.
Carr is now 0-6 in games in Arrowhead and just 2-10 in his career versus the Chiefs. The Raiders continue to struggle with focus as they are penalized 12 times for 99 yards, while the Chiefs had 0 penalties in a game for the first time since 1974. Oakland had 3 turnovers on the day to KC's 0, and shrink in the biggest game that matters in 2019. Rookie running back Josh Jacobs, a lock for Offensive Rookie in the Year in my mind, finishes the day with 17 carries and 104 yards, pushing him over the 1,000-yard mark with 4 games remaining in the season. Other offensive highlights: Darren Waller caught 7 passes for 100 yards. Defensive Rookie sensation Max Crosby continued his ascension, another good day, notching 4 tackles. And Mo Hurst recording the Raiders' only sack on the day. The Raiders now face a tough task, Chaz, of having most likely to win their final 4 games of the season to have a shot at a wildcard spot in the AFC, which includes 2 games in Oakland and 2 on the road in both Los Angeles against the hapless Chargers and the Broncos in a frozen Mile High Stadium. All right, Chaz, so tough game. Another blowout, back-to-back blowouts. Raider Nation is again struggling and fighting amongst itself.
Well, it's 2 tough games on the road and the weather. It's not easy at this time of the season with a young team. You really got to give them credit for fighting. I said after the Jets game, you could see during the game they were their heads were down and they were kind of giving that shoulder shrug. This game, they kept fighting. Give credit to those guys. They came out, and you heard Josh Jacobs say after that pick six, that was kind of the gut shot, and they all kind of went into the locker room at halftime like, man, that was really it. But they came out in the second half, and it didn't look like it because of the score, but they still came out and competed hard, and they didn't quit. And that's the one thing you really hope for in a young team is they just keep playing hard.
No, I agree with that. I don't think they quit at all, and that, of course, is a positive, because when you have a young team, as you said, that is certainly true. Yeah. Now, let's listen to John Gruden had his press conference yesterday, of course. So you have a day to kind of think about. The post game press conference. Everybody hears that, and you kind of think what's going on. But here's what Gruden had to say. So they asked him about the game. So Trent, this is clip number 9.
Disappointed in the outcome. I thought the guys played very hard. The penalties, the turnovers. That goes on me. Got to do a much better job, but I'll answer any questions that I can. Well, I've got to do a better job. We've got to do a better job getting them better looks and getting them involved in the game, no question. So I put that on myself. I think we've got good young receivers. We might shake it up a little bit, give some other guys some more opportunities this week, but we'll study the Titans and see what goes. Yeah, we just did address it again today. Pre-snap, post-snap, pre-snap penalties, and after the whistle penalties, that's a reflection of me. And I'm not going to stand for that. We're not going to stand for that. Our players don't stand for that. We've got to do a much better job. And it's clearly 12 penalties to none. I've never heard of that stat before. Like I said, it's a reflection of me, and we're going to get better at that.
Yeah, well, there was that one penalty on Kansas City, that first touchdown that you just talked about, and there was a flag on Kelsey for kind of a pick play. But they got together, talked about it, and picked the flag up. So there it was. But everybody's talking about what the Honey Badger said, that he picked up tendencies from Carr, and the coach said it right there. They haven't changed up formations.
Well, Chaz, hold that thought, because we're going to take a break, and we come back. We'll pick it right up where you left it, because I think you're right. I think it's important to talk about. All right, you are listening to the Silver and Black tonight. We're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll continue that conversation. We'll also hear Gruden about the weather, and we'll hear from Derek Carr and talk about what I call the Derek Carr conundrum. Conundrum. You're listening to the Silver and Black tonight here on CBS Sports Radio.
Association in this station.
CBS Sports Radio. Sound off with Silver and Black tonight on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Welcome back to the Silver and Black tonight here on CBS Sports Radio 1140 in Las Vegas. We're talking about the game that was Sunday in Kansas City. We left it with Chaz talking about the team not quitting, and
we were talking about the
Chiefs.
We had the Gruden clip, and he was talking about the deficiencies, and everybody was talking. The Honey Badger said that he had picked up tendencies from Carr, and Coach said it there, and he said it's partly his fault they haven't changed up the formations. But I say credit the Chiefs. Obviously Andy Reid isn't 18-3 after the bye just because he's lucky. They knew this was basically the game that puts them in the playoffs, having a 2-game lead in the division, and the tiebreaker, which essentially makes it a 3-game lead with 4 to play.
Yeah, and Chaz, I agree. I mean, you look at the situation with Matthew and his comment after the game about knowing what Carr was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt in my mind that, look, Derek Carr doesn't lose games by himself. It's not his fault.
No.
I think that's where people go wrong, is they say, well, if Derek Carr didn't do this, we would have won.
Right.
There were a lot of things that happened on Sunday.
Happened. It's the 2 interceptions that really, the pick six, just kind of the optics
14
of that.
points.
That's
14
huge.
points.
It's a huge switch. But, you're not talking about the Trevor Davis butt fumble and the Trevor Davis not getting that first down.
Yeah.
There were so many little things that come involved. And like I said, credit the Chiefs. They had 2 weeks to prepare, and they were completely focused on this game because they knew this was basically the game that gets them in the playoffs.
No, that's true. But still, but you have to look at things. The weather, of course, all last week we heard Derek Carr can't win in the cold, right? So, and I said it on Sunday's show that I don't think Derek Carr could have won in this situation. The PR game here. What I mean by that is, if he won, okay, fine. His doubters would still be his doubters.
Mm-hmm.
If he lost, you'd say, see, you told he can't play in the cold and he can't beat the Chiefs, which ended up being true. He can't play in the cold from the numbers.
Right. It's a small sample size. Like we talked about on the Sunday show, I think
what sample size do you need? You need 30 games?
You
need 30 games?
0-5 now. But, 2 of those
under
games
40.
2 of those games this season was the Philadelphia Eagles, their Super Bowl season, the Denver Broncos, their Super Bowl season, and now 3 times against the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been formidable. They have Raider Week up there for a reason. They hate the Raiders. They get geared up for that game, and they make sure that when the Raiders are coming in, they're ready for it.
Okay, now, but we heard about the weather stuff.
Right.
We heard it's not a big deal. Derek Carr said himself, I take him at his word. I do. He says it doesn't bother him, right?
He was zinging it. It didn't look like it bothered him.
Okay, so they asked Coach Gruden about the weather yesterday at the press conference, and here's what he had to say. This is clip number 10.
Yeah, I mean, the statistics, you're right. Yesterday was going to be a slugfest. It was going to be a tough game, I believe. It was going to be a close score. I mean, the weather conditions were difficult, very difficult to throw the ball, period. To kick the ball, I think it was a big deal. The penalties and the turnovers, the hidden yardage, it's a huge statistic, and it's one that we're not good enough to overcome. But we did some good things on defense, and we expect that.
You heard Coach say it right there. It was very difficult to throw the ball, period.
Wait, whoa.
But it sounds like he's trying to exonerate Derek Carr.
Exactly. We were told all week, we were told by Derek Carr in the post-game press conference, nah, weather had nothing to do. I felt good. But then you have the coach saying, well, weather was tough. That made it tough. Well, which one was it? So I'm just confused, Chaz, because, and I'm not, you know me, dude. I've defended Derek Carr forever. I'm not here to say they should get rid of Derek Carr. I'm just saying it doesn't line up.
Right.
So what is that about? What is that about?
It's not an excuse, but you're making it an excuse. so many more things go into it. He mentioned the penalties. The penalties have really been one of the headlines of the season, right? Those 4 of those penalties gave Chiefs first downs, and a couple of those were on 3rd and long. So there's so many factors go into it.
But let's listen to Derek Carr, because we just heard Coach Gruden talk about the weather and that fact that it was a factor. He said it was a factor in the game. He did. It made it difficult.
I understand, but from my point of view, it sounds like he's trying to exonerate Carr, like he's giving Carr a pass,
right,
which he has Carr's back, which is great.
Well, yes,
that's good news for me. Maybe not the rest of Raider Nation. They don't want to hear that.
Yes and no, because I don't mind him covering or defending his quarterback. That's perfect. That's what a coach should do. Right. But using the weather? Okay, let's listen to, this is clip number 12, Trent. This is Derek Carr on the weather.
I threw the ball fine, felt great, If we don't have those 2 turnovers, we're very efficient, right? Ran the ball, threw the ball efficiently, when we had opportunities and things like that. But then you have 2 turnovers, and then they're like, oh, gosh, stats, right? I'm not into that, man. I think we handled it just fine. It wasn't a factor, because I don't want to take anything away from the plays that they made, to be honest with you. They made 2 great plays. If it was 80 degrees or 30 degrees, it doesn't matter. Those 2 safeties made 2 great plays, and tip my hat to them. Okay,
so I don't understand something here. No problem with the weather from Derek Carr, he said. No.
Derek Carr's putting it on the safeties. He's putting it on the defense. He's putting it on the Chiefs, having a good game plan.
Correct. But he said there that, look, we were moving the ball. We were efficient. What's efficient about not scoring a touchdown in 10 quarters? No. Tell me what's efficient about not scoring a touchdown for 10 quarters.
Yeah, well,
wait. Do they, when you win a Super Bowl, do they say, man, that team was efficient?
Yes, every time.
Look, here's the deal.
One of the things in the beginning of the season that they talked about, and it was kind of one of the bulletin points, was they were moving the ball, but they weren't finishing drives with points.
Right.
And it's just really been galvanized. It's been polarizing the last 2 weeks. Derek Carr isn't wrong. He was throwing the ball great. Go back and watch the film. For those conditions, it was a strong, tight spiral. But really, you have to give the Chiefs credit. The Honey Badger making a great play, and then the safety making another great play, diving in on that ball for that pick 6. They came out focused and determined to play a solid game, and they did.
No, they did. But again, Chaz, I'm confused because, look, I wrote a piece up on silverandblacktoday.com that you can go read that basically said, look, the Raiders are showing what they are, which is a team making progress on a rebuild.
Yes.
That's why they're a 500 team right now.
That's right.
Look, Vegas pegged them at 6.5 wins or less. They're almost going to surpass that. I think, in my view, and you might think it's pessimistic, I think they'll win one more game.
No.
I think they'll win one more game.
I think they got 2-3 more in them. I don't understand why with the Raider fans it's Armageddon or subjugation every other week. Right? I get upset, but you don't blow everything up after a couple of bad losses, and you certainly don't talk about the Super Bowl after 10 games.
No, and also, I mean, like you said, it's a young team, and I said in my piece on the website, silverandblacktoday.com, that look, this is what they are. The Raider fans should be happy. You already have improved 2 wins over last year after turning over your complete roster.
Right.
And the main reason why you have 6 wins is because of an amazing rookie class that everyone in Raider Nation should be excited about moving forward.
I agree. You know what? It's a complete season evaluation. I just don't understand why everybody's ready to throw it away. I worked in the front office for 14 years. Complete season evaluation. Of course, you have your in-season casualties like, Trevor Davis this week, but we're talking about the major players here. You evaluate the key positions and the major free agents at the end of the season. So now you're going to evaluate Derek Carr off of 2 late-season road games against good teams and difficult weather. I mean, what about the fourth quarter come-from-behind drives against the Bears and Chargers or the game-winning drive against Detroit? There's a lot to build off from this team. I said from the start of the season.
Chaz, there is, but let me ask you this question. If you can't beat Kansas City, how are you ever going to win a division title? Guess what? Your quarterback can't beat Kansas City.
That 2016 season when they had a good team, they lost in Kansas City.
They lost, yes. They lost both games.
Yep.
They were 0-2.
As it has been.
In Derek Carr's almost MVP season. So here's the thing. Here's what I'm saying. These people say, stats, blah, blah. People who say that stats like this don't matter are the same people throwing stats out about Derek Carr's completion percentage. Look, you can find stats on both sides, all right? You can find stats on both sides, and that's okay. But what I'm telling you is that you have to look at the totality. It's not that Derek Carr is a bad quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. No. He's not a terrible quarterback, and that's not what I'm getting at either. The people who assert that are going to assert that no matter what he does. Okay?
Right.
But what I'm saying is you cannot be a championship football team, all right? You cannot be a championship football team in the AFC over the next 8 to 10 years without beating the Chiefs. You just can't.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And now with Mahomes in there, it's going to make it that much tougher. You know, listen, there's highs and lows for every team during the course of the season. And, 2016, I was at that game in San Diego when the Raiders clinched their first playoff berth since 2002. And let me tell you, the party lasted for days. That victory was the highest of highs. We took that party all the way up the coast for the next game in Oakland against the Colts. And what happened? Derek Carr got his leg broken. And, just like that, the dream's over, and now the lowest of lows. So during the season, you do have the highest of highs. You have the lowest of lows. That 2016 was like, the highest and the lowest that you could possibly get in a season. And this season here, there's still a quarter of the season to go. And if the Raiders beat Tennessee, there's still a good chance that they get that last wild card spot.
I think pot is legal in Nevada. I think you're smoking it.
The Raiders are 5-1 at home.
You know what? But that's
what you said about the Bears. You said that the Bears game wasn't even going to be competitive, and they beat the Bears. They're going to come home. They're going to be refocused after 2 bad road games, 2 bad conditions against 2 good teams. They're going to be refocused, and Tennessee's not all that. They were tied with the Colts 17-17 halfway through the fourth quarter when a couple of things went their way, and all of a sudden 2 touchdowns later was a blowout. So Tennessee's not that great of a team. I'm
not saying that, and Derek Carr has owned the Titans. Okay. But
like the Chiefs have owned Derek Carr.
The situation with Carr, and I don't criticize him for a lot of the other things that people criticize him, okay? But you have to beat the Chiefs.
I understand, but right now we have to beat the Titans. Next game.
No, but I'm talking long term because Derek Carr is the conversation right now, and the bottom line is he hasn't beat them 2 times in 12 games. Look, 2 times.
I understand.
Like, and don't tell me about bad teams. Because you know what? I see other quarterbacks with bad teams. I see Russell Wilson with a
good team
with a bottom level defense. People complaining about the Raiders defense. The Raiders defense played great on Sunday. It had its moments with penalties and missed assignments.
They did. They only gave up that one long play, which we talked about in the keys of the game. There was only that 147-yard.
They gave up 20. They gave up 26 points, which is too much to be. You can't give up more than about 22, 24 points on average. So they gave up, but against Mahomes in that offense, you knew that was going to happen, right? So you had to.
They're going to get over the hump. Look, like you said in your article yesterday, they are a promising young team. And I feel like they have the right people in the front office for long-term stability and success. And we're seeing those like-minded players on the field as well. So they've got the foundational pieces in place. And, they're trying to build. And I think eventually, I'm even saying as soon as next year, they're going to be a solid team.
But wait a minute, though. Does that mean you think Derek Carr should be there for the
I believe Derek Carr fits right into this system and what they're doing. And like I said with the evaluation, you can't – you're just evaluating him.
You have 6 years.
No. He was injured for 2 of those years.
Oh, there's always an excuse,
though.
No,
it's not an excuse.
There's always an excuse.
And then he broke his back the next year.
But then he didn't have players. He had a bad team. He had a bad offensive line.
Yes,
he didn't have
because
receivers.
all of a sudden they're in a rebuild.
Now, yesterday, receivers were awful. First of all, they didn't get open. They didn't get open.
We were watching the game together, and they were just running sloppy routes.
They were, and they were running into each other. It was crazy. So I'm giving Derek Carr that because if you can't, there were times when he had the ball in the pocket and he couldn't throw it anywhere. That's not his fault,
right?
And it's not his fault that his offensive line is falling off as the year goes on. But until the last drive, one wide receiver had a catch for 8 yards.
I know
until the last drive of the game. So again, young team, they need to fill in these spots, and we got to take a break.
Oh man.
We're just getting rolling. When we come back, we're going to talk more about this. Chaz is also going to give out a game ball to somebody on the Raiders because it's not all negative. We have positive things to say as well.
There was a lot of positives.
There was. He's also going to give us who he'd bench. The guy who he was going to bench got cut. But
that's the guy I'm benching.
That's the guy you're benching. All right, we're going to step aside. You're listening to the Silver and Black tonight here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
When you need inside info on your Raiders, you'll find it here. This is Silver and Black Tonight on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Indeed, it is. Welcome back. Silver and Black Tonight here on CBS Sports Radio. Come with us on Sundays on a magic carpet ride, 8 to 10 a.m. Silver and Black today, where we preview the game of the day. We'll have guests this week, including Evan Grote from Silver and Black Pride. He's going to join us, and other guests as well. All right, let's get back into this. First of all, Chaz, before we get onto your game ball and who you'd sit, and in this case, who you'd cut,
you already gave away the big reveal.
I want you to answer a question for me.
All right.
The Raiders have a great running game, do they not?
The best.
I mean, it's fantastic. Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
I'm a fanboy. I admit it, okay?
Yeah.
Then tell me this. Why aren't they good at play action?
Yeah. Do they not do it? I mean.
Is it Gruden? Is it Carr? Is it both of them?
No, Carr can
It's insane. How do they not do play action?
They should do a lot more play action. And I love that fake to the running back and then throw it to him. But every team does that. But it's like an easy 6-8 yards. And with Jacobs, it feels like it'd be an easy 10 or 12 yards. He's just so he's so smooth. He's so much fun. I'm like, just like I said, he's like water through rocks. He is just so smooth.
But here's the thing. And I'll get off the Derek Carr because I'm not a Derek Carr basher. And if you think I am because I'm bringing up critical points about him, then don't listen.
No.
Because we're not here to kiss somebody's ass, and we're not here to kill somebody all the time, and we don't do that here.
Right.
But Derek Carr doesn't throw balls into contested spots.
No, he's a very safe player.
Which is why the check down stuff happens. When he does throw it into contested spots, it's not good, like yesterday.
Right. My problem, and you and I watched the games together, my problem with Derek Carr is a lot of times he doesn't run through his progressions.
Right.
And so you see what happens when he stares down his receiver. It's not a good thing. But
who are we? We don't coach football, and we don't. Yeah, I know.
I said at the start of the season, Derek Carr should be around 4,000 yards passing, 30 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions, for it to be a successful season, and enough to give him another year to grow, with this young team in the system. And he's not far off from those numbers. He's on pace to have 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions.
Well,
so the touchdowns are down just a little bit, but credit Josh Jacobs for stepping up and, taking a lot of those.
Well, if you want to be a team of an efficient football team, a fan of an efficient football team, then that's your guy. If you want to win a championship, I'm not so certain yet.
No.
I have more doubts. I have more doubts than ever before, not just because of the one game. Now, when he was going well, I was complimentary. I didn't have any problem with him, but I always said, look, you saw Russell Wilson. I'm not comparing the two. They're very different quarterbacks.
Right.
But Russell Wilson took that team on his shoulders, as he does often.
Come on.
Yes.
They've got a good team. How many?
Their defense is not that good.
What about the fumble? What about the interception? They set him up with short yardage, and he has two guys running the ball back there.
Russell Wilson
come on.
drives
Russell Wilson
the bus.
didn't do
He drives the
bus.
bus. No, of course, it's a team game.
He
drives the bus. He's the motor, right?
He ain't
and
driving.
And any team that wins a Super Bowl has that motor. So, all right,
Derek Carr
Chaz,
can be that. I'm putting it on record.
I'm not certain.
All
I'm
right.
not saying he's not, and I'm not saying
Wait till
he
the
is.
end of the season to evaluate the guy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
Let's give him this last quarter of the season, see what he can do.
The last 3 games have been garbage in offense. Now, that's not all Carr's fault.
That's
it's
right.
Receivers' fault.
There's no wide receivers.
They're
obviously doubling on Waller.
It's suspect play calling,
and they're loading the box for Jacobs.
Correct.
Okay.
So there's no adjustments. That's coaching. No one can catch the ball except for Waller and Moreau.
All 3 tight ends
right here.
have been great.
Tight ends have been great.
Yep.
And Carr is iffy at times and makes still decisions.
Every quarterback's iffy at times.
Yeah, but you don't the decision-making process. Okay, well, we're going to move on from that because again, we're not here to just bash Derek Carr.
I can talk all day.
We're going to go now. Chaz, you want to give out a game ball?
Yeah, we got a new segment. Game
for
balls
a 40-9 loss
and bench him. Obviously, Josh Jacobs gets the game ball. I mean, another extraordinary performance by him.
Shocking.
And congratulations on becoming the first Raiders rookie to rush for over 1,000 yards in a season for this storied franchise, and doing it
huge.
Doing it in 12 games, just in case there's some old timers out there saying, back in my day, we played 4 score in a fortnight. So, congratulations again to Josh
And then
Jacobs.
get off my lawn.
Yeah. Hey, damn whippersnappers. So, yeah, of course, my bench player was Trevor Davis, but the Raiders went up to me and released him. So if you hadn't heard the news, the Raiders activated linebacker Markel Lee from the IR, And to make room on the roster, Trevor Davis was the casualty. And, Davis looked great in his first 2 games in Indianapolis and that next week in London against the Bears, but he hasn't touched the ball in 5 games, 0 receptions, no runs, nothing. So when the Raiders had that 4th and 1, and you and I were watching the game, we saw Jacobs, jogging off the field, and we looked at each other and almost simultaneously both said, Ingold. And so did the rest of Arrowhead Stadium. Like, everybody knew Alec Ingold was getting that 4th and 1. And, when they handed it off on that end around, I thought, boy, that was the greatest. It was brilliant. And it looked like he had it no problem. And then we know what happened there. So just with that and couple that with that bizarre-looking fumble on that kick return, and that pretty much sealed his fate.
But here's the thing. I would tell you that the one player that I increasingly, if I was there, would think about, although they don't have the depth to do it, so they really can't.
Right.
Gabe Jackson. Since his injury, and he got the last 2 games.
Right.
And I like Gabe Jackson. I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
But we're seeing the offensive line breaking down a little bit.
Down.
Been a few more sacks. Not the running game hasn't been as effective.
But that happens. It's an NFL season. It is a war of attrition.
Yes.
Okay? So if that's the case, then you need other people to pick up their game.
Right.
The receivers aren't doing it. The quarterback is efficient.
Like you said, it's a long season. It's spotty. The offensive line was great for a while. The defensive line showed up for a minute there. Even the DBs, a couple of pick sixes. Everybody has kind of showed. They've gone up and then they've gone back down. There's been the pitfalls. So, that's part of the growing process. And that's what I'm talking about. You get all this together. You have another great draft. You got a lot of money for free agency. Put it all together. And next season could really be, something. You just, during the season, you need to have some things go your way. You need to have a ball bounce here or there. And, it could happen for us. We talk about the turning point in the game, and I feel like that pick 6 thrown by Carr just before the half was a turning point. But, like Josh Jacobs said, they kind of that took away what little hope was left. But credit the players. They weren't bowing their heads. Guys like Morrow and Hankins and Crosby, they kept the energy level high, and they played hard till the end.
No, they did. And that's the thing, again. I'm getting fired up about the conversation just because it was frustrating to watch. But at the same time, I'm not losing. To build a long-term championship team, you're not going to do it in 1 year. You don't go from 4-12. I mean, maybe there's examples of it happening occasionally. You're not going to go from 4-12 to the dreaded Patriots in one season, right? You got to build a long-term winner. It takes time.
Right.
The plan is working.
I feel like it's working.
It's working, and yes, they screw the pooch occasionally.
They're 6-6.
Like the last 2 games.
Theoretically, we thought right now they were going to be 4-8. So,
absolutely.
They're 2 games ahead of the schedule, in my opinion.
Or worse.
Well,
with that long road trip. Remember.
That's true.
They could have come off 1-7.
Yeah, easily. They could have started
right?
the season 1-7.
So credit to them, credit to the coaching staff.
Right.
But now you're at that point. People have figured things out. You're at that point where people are getting tired. Attrition, as I mentioned before. So you have to mix it up. I want to see them come out against the Titans, and I want to see John Gruden mix it up because he owns it. Now, in those words we heard from the press conference, I think he's taken too much. And that's just his way of taking pressure off his team, which I understand.
No, I think he is owning up to it. He's taken most of the blame for, and maybe since it's such a learning, teaching process, he doesn't want to switch things up in the middle because he's still, he's famous for having the biggest playbook in the league. So trying to teach these guys everything and get everybody on the same page, he's not switching up the signals, the play call, the formations before each play. And other teams are starting to pick up on that. So, I know it's hard when you start the season talking about development and improvement, and then halfway through, you're all of a sudden talking about the playoffs. If you're a Raider fan, you've got to be impressed at how well this young team has competed all season. And I know it's a hard pill to swallow, getting so close to the playoffs. But listen, the Raiders fans, they still have a realistic shot at getting there. And it starts this week in Oakland with beating the Titans.
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to happen.
Pollyanna. Okay, no, that's fine. Hey, look, again, I'm not negative about this team because, like I said, they're making progress.
Yeah,
they're going where they should be. I just think there's question marks. I mean, they need bodies. We're going to talk about this as we close out the show. But they need more players, and then there's some players they have that they have to make some decisions on. All right. Well, we're going to step aside and pay some bills. Again, we had some folks watching on the internet on the video. We're live simulcasting there. We're having some internet issues again at the station, and so it's gone in and out, but it's there. It's back, so you can watch us there. But we're going to step aside. When we come back, we'll close out the show. We'll talk about this team and its growing pains and preview Silver and Black today. You're listening to the Silver and Black Tonight here on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
Sports Radio. From Allen to Zog and all the Davises, Jacksons, and Woodsons in between, we've got your Raiders covered. This is Silver and Black Tonight on CBS Sports Radio 1140.
You bet your backside it is. We are fired up tonight, Chaz.
Yes.
Yes. Osborne from 3. Yes. Okay, we're back. We're talking football, not basketball and women's underwear.
Oh, but
remember that? He bit a woman wearing a garter belt. He was wearing a garter belt, yeah.
God
anyway,
bless him.
This is a family show. All right. Okay, we're moving on. We're talking Raiders football. Of course, everybody licking their wounds from the 40-9 loss to the Chiefs. Up next, of course, are the Tennessee Titans in Oakland, one of 2 of the last games for the Oakland Raiders before they come to Las Vegas Raiders, and that's coming very quickly. The Raiders today, too, announced, Chaz, I got to pull out my phone here so I can read this to folks so that they can know what I'm talking about. The Raiders and Intermountain Healthcare
That's right.
join in a health partnership. They're going to be healthy together.
Yeah.
No, they are. That is the naming rights for the Raiders' new headquarters and practice facilities.
Intermountain Healthcare Performance Center.
Intermountain. And you know what? Intermountain's not big in Nevada. It's big in Utah. So they must be coming into the market.
There's some mountains down here.
Just some details here. They're the official healthcare partner of the Raiders and a founding partner in Allegiant Stadium. So it's a big, big deal. That announced just at the end of the day today around 3 o'clock. So the Raiders moving, shaking, making money.
And I saw a picture of the facility. I didn't realize it kind of looks like the stadium. It's got the black glass.
Yeah, the designs.
The
design.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's cool.
I was supposed to fly the Silver and Black Today drone, which we have.
Right.
I was supposed to fly that over last week, and then I got strep throat, and I missed my window with the FAA to fly it.
Call me. I can fly that thing. Gee, what's it take?
All right, Chaz. So here's the deal. Good progress. I again, like you said, there's 4 games left. I think definitely they win 1 and could win 2. Okay.
All right.
8-8. I think 8-8 would be awesome.
8-8 would be great. So that's 2 wins.
What are you, Don King?
8-8
would be great.
Forget about it. I really want to see him. You know, we talked about it with Kelly Kreiner on the Sunday show and how playoff experience really elevates. I mean, you look at the Baltimore Ravens with what they're doing this season. They made the playoffs last year. They had a home game. They lost, obviously, to the Chargers. But they just saw the intensity. They saw what it takes, to bring it. And, a young quarterback, but they were 10-6 last year. And now that team has just excelled because they see what it happens with the intensity. And I was really hoping the Raiders could get in there, squeak a game. I like Kelly said, I'm the same. I don't think they wouldn't make any noise if they did make it into the playoffs. But having that experience would be huge. But still, like we said, 8-8, the team they were at 6 wins for Vegas's line. Anything over that's going to be just phenomenal.
And our longtime listener, going back to our early podcast days, Corey Sanford, who's watching us on Periscope, asked the question, did this team exceed my expectations for the season? Yes, absolutely, because I bet the under. I bet the under. I bet 6-5. I bet it was 6.5, I should say. Is it 6.5 was the over-under that I got it back in July.
Right.
And I took the under because I really thought 6 games was right, and with that schedule and with the travel and all that stuff, and I thought that would be fine. I didn't think that would be disappointing. So yes, they're going to exceed that by 1 or 2 games.
Right. No, I really think the Raiders, they can they can't make the playoffs unless they beat the Titans this week. Let's be honest with ourselves.
Oh, this is a must. There's no question.
It's a must-win playoff game.
They're all must-win.
Last week for the Chiefs, that was basically a playoff game for them because they knew if they won that, they're pretty much in. Same thing with the Raiders. If they lose this game against the Titans, they're pretty much out. So they'll come out focused. They'll come out prepared. And don't forget, like I just said, they're 5-1 at home this season, and that home crowd, they'll bring the energy that the Raiders need to push.
Bring
forward.
The pain. Yeah. Well, and again, I want to talk about pain. No, it's not a sponsor lead-in. Listen, folks, in the Raider Nation, people are getting all upset and they're fighting. I see people blocking each other because one doesn't like Carr and one likes Carr. It's like Raider Nation violence on violence. Yeah. It's terrible. It's terrible. You shouldn't do it. I mean, I grew up a Charger fan. We talk about it all the time.
Yep.
I never saw Raider fans fighting. Now I see them fighting on Twitter all the time.
We fight
It's
everybody
really
else.
weird. And I should, because again, the future's bright.
The Raider fans are passionate fans.
They're amazing. They're amazing. I used to not think that, of course, when I was younger and would wear Charger jerseys and hold Raider hater signs and all that.
Those were the days.
But no, here's the deal. This team is on the right track, and they call it growing pains for a reason.
Right.
It's not because it's not easy.
Yeah.
Because you're getting closer. You're seeing the progress. You're seeing him inch towards respectability. You're seeing him inch towards a playoff spot, being a playoff team. You're seeing Josh Jacobs. You're seeing Max Crosby, a 4th-round draft pick playing like a 1st-round draft pick.
And they're doing it as a team. They're doing it together. We don't have this transcendent player, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. You know, these guys, obviously, you're going to put a team.
Oh, wait a minute. You don't have a transcendent quarterback?
Hey,
okay. I just want to make sure.
He's a team guy. He's a system guy. And it keeps the balance there. If you have a good running game, good passing game.
Balance.
You need good balance to win
Efficiency.
games. And you also need defense. You need
Efficiency.
offense and defense. The offense has been very efficient. The defense has been a little lacking this season.
It's been efficient, but it doesn't score points.
It hasn't scored points. And that was the problem in the beginning, and now we're seeing it rear its ugly head.
And again, I want to underscore this. We have just a few seconds left here, Chaz, a few minutes left.
No.
It is coaching, too. Coaching has to do it. All right, Chaz, awesome, dude. Time went by so quick.
Man, let's buy that extra hour.
All right.
How do we do that?
We will be back Sunday, 8 to 10 a.m. Evan Grote from Silver and Black Pride will join us. We'll talk more about Derek Carr, and we'll talk about the Tennessee Titans game. You've been listening to Silver and Black tonight here on CBS Sports Radio, 1140.
Thanks, everyone.
From office parties to family get-togethers, if you tend to overdrink...